Welcome to this week's episode of Your Stock Request for the 19th of December. Hi, I'm Michael Gable, Managing Director of Fairmont Equities. Your Stock Request is a weekly video where I take your requests and analyse the share price charts. So because there isn't a video next week, I've added a few extra requests for this week. So we have Woolworths, Smart Group, Dicker Data, Alcidion, Nine Entertainment, Jupiter Mines, Oncosil and Lycopodium. So if you have a request, send it through and I'll cover it for you in January when we're back. Make sure you have signed up to the newsletter if you're not getting our emails. Make sure you share this video on social media, and if you do enjoy these videos, we'd love to get a review from you on Facebook or Google. If you haven't downloaded our 2020 Market Outlook, make sure you do. It provides great bedtime reading, but there's a lot of important information in there. And finally, any advice, of course, is general only. So we're starting off with Woolworths. So this is a weekly chart. Now, the first thing I've noticed is, so we've got this peak here in 2014. Most recently, it pushed through that, but it managed to reject off that level straight away. So there's a clear rejection of the all-time high. Let's just zoom in a bit. Price action has been pretty weak. So initially we have this negative weekly candle, and then instead of the shares at least consolidating within that region, we've had the shares open up in about the midpoint of that candle, tried to rally very briefly, but then closed all the way down here. So again, that's quite a negative, and you have to remember the market has been heading higher, and as we could see so far this week, it's not doing anything. So price action is quite poor, unfortunately. I think with the market going up, investors are not interested in something like Woolworths. So I think the share price will continue falling. There's some obvious support around 36. So that seemed to be a key level there in the middle of the year. I think it'll pull back towards that level. Really needs to bounce from that. I think if it cracks 36, that's the line in the sand, and that could indicate the start of a downtrend. Smart Group. So this is a daily chart. We could see, price action's been very poor. I think the first warning sign was this gap in October. So we've had the so what that gave us was a lower high and a lower low, and we can see that even if you just watched it for a few days or so after that gap down, you could see it made no progress. So first sign, then it's gapped again. Again, not really any buying, and another gap down. So that's extremely poor in terms of price action. In the short term, it looks oversold, so you might get the occasional bounce, but there's just nothing indicating that longer term it's a buy here. So you might get the odd bounce. It might head sideways for a bit, but there's no signs yet that the downtrend is over. No need to rush into it. Okay, Dicker Data, DDR. So in terms of what it's been doing recently, we had this sharp sell-off here in August, went to a new high, it's come back. The last few days has looked pretty strong, so very nice price action here. Volume was pretty good as well on the way up. So looking pretty good, and we can see that this low is higher than this low, so it's made a higher low, which is a positive. Now there's going to be a bit of resistance at current levels, so not only if we look at this previous turning point here, but also if we measure the recent decline with our Fibonacci tool. So I'll just zoom in a bit. Often the 38.2% retracement level provides a bit of resistance, and that's bang on that point there. So we might see some weakness in the short term around these levels. But then, of course, this previous peak will offer some resistance as well. So, there's a couple of points there where it could get into trouble. So I think it's a bit difficult to be buying it here. I'd like to see it come back and make another higher low, and then I think it'd be a better opportunity then. Alcidion Group. So if we So this is a weekly chart. So we could see that it wasn't really doing much. And then in about March this year, it really took off. And what's interesting to note is the volume. So even though it almost doubled in the space of a couple of weeks, it was the huge volume which was the telltale sign that it's actually a buy signal, because there's huge volume to back it up. And as we could see, it's been doing extremely well. And during this period of time, volumes have been high as well. So far so good. Nothing really wrong on this side of the chart. Now if we have a look at what it's been doing since then, it's been obviously drifting back. Now in terms of the uptrend, we're looking at the highs and the lows. So in terms of this low here, as soon as it broke that low, that was a warning sign that the uptrend was over. We could even see here it came back to retest it and then reject it again. So at the moment it looks like it will continue to slide, and we really need to see some proper support come in before it becomes a buying opportunity again. Okay, Nine Entertainment Group. So we'll start off with a weekly chart. A nice bounce earlier in the year, but it did turn at a key level. So basically, if we're measuring from the peak here, we've had sort of waves 1, 2, 3, the fourth move back up, and by turning at this point, it could lead to the shares coming back under this particular low. But either way, it's setting into another shorter term downtrend here. Now what we need to do is we'll just move to the daily chart. So last few days has looked good, but $1.90 is going to be some strong resistance, and then of course $2.10 as well. So they're the major levels it needs to get into, and from a longer term perspective it really needs to push past 210, because if it doesn't, then basically it's still just within this downtrend and it's still at risk of falling. Now Jupiter Mines. Now if we zoom in a little bit here on the daily, we could see that recently it got down to under 24 cents. So it's basically retested that January low, but then it's bounced off that. So it's made a higher low, and we could see the spike in volume. So that's a big positive. It does look like it will bounce from here. Obvious resistance, of course, is the gap, which is about 31 cents. And coincidentally, once again, if we take out our Fibonacci tool and measure from the decline from the peak all the way down here, it's bang on the 38.2% retracement level. So again, to me, that's the major level we need to watch out for. So 27 to about 31 is where I think we'll see Jupiter Mines go to in the short term. Next one, Oncosil, weekly chart. Big drop there earlier in the year, but fantastic recovery since then. Now it looks like we're in a fourth wave. So what we've got is sort of the initial move up, wave 1, 2, third wave is always the most powerful. And now I think it'll consolidate. So it's going to be heavy going around current levels, of course. We've got all this previous price action. A lot of people wanting to, a lot of buyers here looking to sort of sell around current levels. So I think it'll consolidate here for the fourth wave. And then when that's done, it'll be ready to do its final fifth wave up and retest 24 cents. Now Lycopodium, LYL. So this is a weekly chart, very nice uptrend. In terms of the last few years, we could see it's been doing all the right things in terms of impulsive moves on the way up, sort of fairly flat corrections. So a nice impulsive move, big flat correction, another impulsive move, then a fairly flat correction. So doing all the right things longer term. Shorter term, it's starting to flatten out here, and it looks like it's ready to head higher. So this is daily chart. So I'd even say that current levels look like a buying opportunity, but I think that if you're a bit more conservative, this key level at 560 needs to be breached. So possibly a buying opportunity here. Once it pushes through 560, you could even add to it or pick it up if you're a little bit more conservative. Okay, well that's it for this week. If you have a request, send it through, and when we're back in early January, I'll try to cover it for you.